Get me a soda. What's going on, Jeff? Just giving us a few people a couple more minutes to show up, but we'll get going here momentarily. Got a ton of stuff. All right, guys. Gonna start off with this. Is what you see in front is part of sub number 5. Part of sub number 5. So then we're gonna get into sub 4 once I get done with this. But it's not all here. Understand that it is partial because that's just the way it comes back. But we do have some of it here. All right, Nick Webb. We've got Bobby Shantz and 78 Brewer Prospects with Ned Yost. Brian Biggs. Unfortunately, some of yours, the Missy Hyatt, there came back as inconclusive, more or less, unfortunately. But you still had more out there. Next up, Bobby Thompson. I'm not going to go into a lot of the reject type of stuff, but Bill Mazeroski, 58 tops. Jim Palmer, Earl Weaver, Maz, Steve Garvey, Dennis Eckersley, Tiffany. Big boy. Rich Gossage. Jeff Reardon OPG and Jeff Reardon Tops. Bill Shield. Number 5. Yeah, you got stuff in here, Wayne, at some point. Juan Marshall. Where'd you get the Bobby Witt auto at? How about a Larry Bird? 86-87 Fleer, Larry Bird. The Hulk. Lou Ferrigno. Steve Carlton. Robin Roberts. Just a heads up. Phil Necro. A lot of stuff came back positive, but through the mail and stuff and buying them, unless you see them, there's definitely no guarantees that they're going to go through. And even if you've seen it, there's still not 100% guarantee. Jesse Burton. So just keep that in mind when this stuff's coming through. I'm just the messenger. DeMar DeRozan. DeMar, number 2. Charles Barkley. That's nice. Had 2 of those. Mitchell Robinson. Tom Rathman. Joe Pavleski. I think it was a Bowman that you bought, I think. Brian Urlacher. And Brian Urlacher. Andrew Singh. Got 2 cards back. AU, Dave Stewart on the sticker. And how about a 10-10 Titus Sissel auto. Yellow auto. It was numbered to 75. Number to 50 on the front. 10-10. William Kelsey. We've got Super Bowl. Herm Edwards, Wagner, or Glenn Edwards, Wagner, Millen and Farnhurst, and Skoronski, Jeter, Long, and Mack on the back. Tom Smith. Nope. I don't know where you got. I'm guessing you bought it on eBay or something. Ryan Sandberg, rookie. Paul Skeens, purple. There we go. That's a good one. Sam Perkins. Michael Cooper. Ron Harper. John Lucas. Dale Ellis. Larry Nance. Xavier McDaniel. And Roger Craig. A lot of Roger Craigs split throughout the two subs. Dayton Perrin. Keith Hernandez. And Bobby Richardson, 64 stand-up. Eric Lyman. We do have some that didn't pass, but the ones that did. Harmon Killebrew. Monty Irvin. Bobby Dewar. Duke Snyder. Got some good ones. Tommy Lasorda. Corbin Carroll. Will Smith. Tom Seaver. Hank Aaron. That's a nice one. Rod Carew. Yogi. John Elway. And Dalton Rushing. Casey O'Brien, we had one that didn't get through, but Jim Rice. Skip Lockwood. Alex Johnson. Jerry Moses. Tom Chope. Gene Alley. Steve Klein. Larry Durker. Ron Fairley. Joe Necro. Ray Fosse. Fred Stanley. Andy Etchebarren. Clyde Wright. And Jim Fregosi. All right, Tom Brandy. We got some that didn't go through. Those were Tyreek Hills. Tyreek Hill seemed to come back secretarial, especially if you send off for him. Bob Greasy. Eric Dickerson, rookie. Harold Carmichael. John Crook. Mick Abel. Harold Baines. Tim McCarver. Brent Rooker. Darren Dalton. Darren Dalton. Jose Canseco. 87 Fleer Sandberg. Ryan Sandberg. Dave Parker. And Dave Parker. You falling asleep out there, Jimmy? You're going to be here for the whole thing, and it's going to be a lot of sleep. Josh Barnhart. We got Lance Allworth on arrivals, and Jack Nicklaus. Like that one. Did get one back for Ryan Campbell. Unfortunately, I'll put this one out there. The Chipper Jones didn't pass, but the Desert Shield stamp, which I have heard that those get faked quite a bit. Patino, we've got a few. But the good stuff. Tom Gugliotti. Burt Blyleven. Keep whacking my camera. Martine Brodeur. Fergie. Raleigh Fingers. Ryan Sandberg. Jose Canseco. Jose Canseco. Goose. Sergey Makarov. I'll butcher that one. I'm not a hockey guy. And Barry Bonds. All right, Daniel White. Got a few that didn't pass. Because you're putting a set together, I'm guessing. Jerry Rice, Rodney Carter, and Jack Trudeau. But the good ones: Steve Young, Doug Flutie, Bruce Hill, Kevin Green, Brian Sosha, Howie Long, Bill Fralick, Brian Bosworth, Tom Landry, Freeman McNeil, Willie Gault with Greg Townsend's signature, because that is Greg Townsend's picture, and Chris Mullen. All right, Robert Marks. A lot of vintage. Unfortunately, we do have a stack of stuff they didn't do. Unfortunately. So, but the stuff they did do. We've got Dave McNally twice. We've got Beck and White, Marichal, Ron Santo, Hank Aaron, Johnny Lindell, Willie Mays, and we've got DeTasso, Young, and Qualls. Next stack here. Cecil Fielder, we got 1, 2, 3. I know there's a fourth one. And 4. That's with the chicken, Big Daddy and Big Chicken. Walt Bond, Tom Seaver, Rich Allen, Chris Chambliss, Tony Gwynn, Greg Maddux. Got 4 of those. Walter Payton, Tommy Heinrich, Barry Sanders, Reggie Miller, Reggie Lewis, Brett Favre, Barry Bonds, Bonds, and Bonds. Danny Ainge, Drazen Petrovic, Drazen, got 4 of those, 2 different types. Scottie Pippen, Jerry Rice, 2 of those, and another Barry at the end. A lot of big names. All right, we are into sub 4 and some CGC that went through. So Kelly Allen, we do have a few that didn't make it. Ones that did. We've got Kearney, Reagan, and Young. Hal Connolly. Garmin, Cooper, Fisk. Bill Belichick. Dan Marino. Joe Montana. We've got Newsom and Art Monk. Anderson and Wershing. Easley and Flynn. And Arnold and Hansen. Justin Bradley has 1. Alejandro Kirk. That's a CGC. Alejandro Kirk. Justin Houston, we got 1 that didn't go through. Ones that did, Mo Drabowski, Jim Palmer, Paul Blair, Frank Robinson, nice old stuff, Hank Bauer, Frank Thomas, a roll 'em out art by Fred Harper, and it says Harry Belden and Ian Caruni. Sure. And the Miz, Jacob Mizorowski. Nick Finch. Early win. Fergie Jenkins. Preacher Rowe. Hoyt Wilhelm. Dennis Eckersley. Eddie Matthews. Brooks Robinson. And Minnie Minoso. Still got people out there watching. Jason Chernard. We did have one, I guess, Kirby. Questionable. We got Marshall, Tony Perez, and Archie Manning. Jason Egoff. And by the way, we are kind of going through the small stacks to start. We got a lot of stuff here, guys. This was an autogram, but everything else is through. So we have Notre Dame, I'm not a Notre Dame guy. Ara, Ralph, Rocky Blyer, that one I can do. Bob Kuchenberg, Bob Greasy, Dick Anderson, Gene Upshaw, Danny White, Mercury Morris, Pat Summerall, Phil Simms, Drew Pearson, Theismann and Kenny Anderson, twice, Rocky Blyer, Steve Grogan, Billy Kilmer, Jim McMahon, and Steve Sable. Sean Crum. Sorry. A lot of wrestling stuff that just didn't go through. You can reach out to him. He's in the group. Vince Young, Edgerrin James, and Vinny Testaverde are the ones that passed. Like I said, I'm just a bearer of bad news, unfortunately. I definitely don't grade him. Wayne, you still out there? Mark Krulikowski. We've got Mark Price, Pepper Davis, Herschel Walker, Mark Rippon, Mike Tomczak, Roger Craig, Tim Brown, Spud Webb, Milt Wilcox, and John Wookenfuss. All right, you're about 3 away. Robert Gerard. One didn't go through, but it was one Parcells. Bill Parcells, one after another. Bill Parcells, folks. And throwing a Mickey Mantle at the end. Mickey Mantle. I like that. Got a legit Mantle at the end. Yeah, I heard Drazen is, like, impossible to get. All right, Steve Green. I will say Jerry Jones. There were multiples, not just you, that sent this card in. None of them passed. So I guess they're all secretarial is what they're saying. unfortunately. Good old Jerry. But Mario Andretti's, Chuck Knox, John Lynch, David Hickson, Gary Blair, Billy Donovan, Stan Smith, Michael Chang. There's a good tennis one. Bobby Flay. We got a couple Bobby Flays in here, believe it or not. And Alan Jackson. A couple Alan Jacksons. So not all sports. All right, Wayne. Here's your stuff. And it was that Bobby Witt. I'm guessing it was a paper Bowman you bought somewhere. Everything else is good, though, that I got back. All right, we got Burns, a lot of the CGC, but it's a little bit of both. Franklin Reyes, Roman Anthony, Chase Burns, Connor Griffin, 1 of 1 with a 10. PJ Morlando, Ryan Williams, Zaire Hope, and Zaire Hope. Keep going. We've got Clark Candiotti. It's all the same.
Yeah, I know.
Justin Jefferson, Cruz Schoolcraft, Felton Celestin, Cam Smith, Slade Caldwell, Connor G, Nick Kurtz, Chase Burns, Caldwell, Roberto Clemente, Red Wave, Pete Crow with a 10. Ryan Williams with a 10. Omarion Hampton with a 10. Bobby Witt Jr. Refractor with a 10. Grauer, 10. Jackson Dart, that's got to be a good one right now. 10. Caleb Bonhomer, 10. They had a run of 10s going there, Wayne. I don't know if those are yours or your buddies. Tyler Bremner, Drew Burris, Christian Moore, Ricky Henderson, and there you go, Connor G with a 10. So that's what you had come back there, Wayne. Chris Hands, we got a couple, didn't go through, but the ones that did, they're good ones. Derek Jeter, George Brett, and Albert Pujols. So, solid ones that came back. And keep in mind, guys, we've got some with boxes of stuff. So we're just getting there. Donovan Hockett, an Esperian was questionable, but Typhlosion, Future Sight, and Giovanni's Persian. An 8 and 2 9s and 1 questionable. That was for Donovan. So as you see, we do just about everything, guys. Everything goes in. Eric Holland, we've got a few didn't. Ones that did: Maddox, Judge, Bo Jackson, Monty Irvin, and Roger Clemens. Charlie Horn. We've got Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter. All the Jeters have been passing. Eric Dickerson. Tony Gwynn. Randall Cunningham. Ozzie Smith. And Reggie Miller.
It's not straight, just so you know.
Well, Dan Hunter. We've got some that didn't pass. Of the ones that did, that I've got back. Keep that in mind. Bobby Valentine. All of 4 is back, though. All of 4 is back. Bobby Valentine. Tom Mack. Ken Anderson. Boomer. 2. Dave Dravecki. Mark McGuire. Rebecca Lobo. Nolan Ryan. Oh, and occasionally you'll get stuff on the back. Like this, I believe it's going to say AA. It is altered. And you will get the sticker, but they still put AA on it and goes through. For everybody's that's interested. Vince Coleman. Jose Canseco. Twice. Jose. 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 Jose is a good signer, needless to say. Sandy Alomar. Brett Saberhagen. Greg Jeffries. I loved that card back when I was a kid. Carlos Delgado. Kennedy Dravecki. And Luis Gonzalez. All right, that's Dan. Next up, CGC stuff. Pete Jarsma. Manny Machado. Aaron Judge with a 10. Judge, 10. Judge, 10. 9-5. 9. Judge. We had a good string of Paul Skeens, 9. Bryce Harper. Nice little run of 10s there. Bryce Harper, 10. Trout. Freddie Freeman, 10. Mookie. Yu Darvish. Mookie. All right, those were all Pete's. Jim McCartney. Billy Ripken. Billy. Jose Canseco and Jose Canseco. William Kelsey, we had one not go through. All right, we got, I'm not even going to try to put them out there, but we've got a lot of Super Bowl cards. Boomer and Icky Woods, Perry Williams, a lot of dual, triple, quad type stuff. And these do pass. There we go, Jerome Bettis. Joe Theismann and Harity. Mike Munchak. Harold Carmichael. Tony Perez. Jack Ham. Christie and Frank Reich. And back to the Super Bowl cards. So you did well, William, on those. Patrick Meyer. One that didn't go through. All right, Hannah Storm. Pete Weber. Hillbilly Jim. Akeem. La Parca. Jeff Walker. Bruce Jenner. Warwick Davis. Jimmy Smits. Richard Petty. Now, I'd like that one. The Cars. Mandrell. Eileen Mandrell. Gonzaga. And Randy. All right. Okay, guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to take a sip. Where are we going?
We're almost in the second row. Just the bottom row of the boxes.
All right, I don't think we're halfway, but we're getting closer. We've got a lot of boxes to go. Seth Moeller. Everything that came back is slabbed. Everything that came back is slabbed. Carmel Hawes. Miller, Taylor, Wolf. Well, these are a lot of duals, triples. Red Ruffing. Stan the Man. Marty Marion. Johnny Mize. Bill White. That's got all 5 of them, I think. Triple. Campaneris and Fingers. That's got like 6 people on it. Miller, Taylor, Wolf. These have seemed to do well, guys.
I'm going to take that stack.
Cepeda. Wally Moon. Kurt Flood. Lou Brock. He had Kurt Flood. I'm surprised he wasn't able to get both. Bill White. Not sure how it worked. Ozzie Smith. Willie McGee. And a quad. Next stack. McDaniel, Larry Jackson. Johnny Keane. Was that 4 of the 5? There's a couple. Keane and Walker. Landrum, Olsted, Rincon. Tom Herr in that one. Mike Shannon. Richie Allen. Mark McGuire. Shannon and Fanek. Raleigh Fingers and Sutter. Ted Simmons. Orlando Cepeda. And Orlando Cepeda. Chris Walther, we got one. The rest went through. Steve Spurrier, Lee Woodall, David Akers, and Mike Nolan. Jeff Palumbo, first one in the room. Sending Star Wars stuff. We got Vader with a 9. Daughter of Skywalker 8. Son of Skywalker 9.5. Boba Fett 8.5. And TK4 or TX 422 8.5. Mike Price. We've got Austin Carr, Anderson Varejao, Mark Price, Manny Ramirez, and Jim Tomei. Brandon Pretel, Chase Shores, Jared Jones, Gavin Dugas with a 10, Luke Holman, Brian Thomas, Spencer Rattler, Austin Eckler, Taysom Hill with a 10-10, Danny Dickinson with a AU, and Joe Alt with a 9. Did those... You have much of that? I mean, how does that stuff do with grades and all that, Jeff? I know nothing about Star Wars cards and stuff like along those lines. Okay, Matt Patterson. A couple didn't go through. Old Batman. Wonder Woman. Superman. Tony Dorsett. Jerry West. Jim Ross. Ryan Sandberg. Dick Vitale. Jim Cornette. Jose Canseco. Bill Bates. And Raymond Berry. Pernama, we got 2 that didn't go through. Carl Malone. Oh, we got more. Sorry, there's This Karl Malone said serial number wasn't legit. Karl Malone, there are some other ones in here. This one says the patch wasn't legit. Tiger Woods. Haley Steinfeld. Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner with a 10. Kit Harington. Jimmy Chan with a 10. Yeah. Angela Bassett. I'm just going to butcher it. There's no reason to just completely butcher it. Kit Harington. Jimmy Chan. Kenneth Trang. Simon Yam. Simon Yam. Michelle Yeoh. Iron Man. Hulk. Scarlet Witch. Wolverine. That's a thick one. And Maria Selena, and Walter Payton. That's a good ending right there. Everybody's being quiet out there right now. Brian Rice, we had one that didn't go through, and one Anthony Fauci auto with a 10 auto. Matt Reed, we've got a. Unfortunately, the problem with these, and I asked, it's got Bowman on the back. So, like I said, they won't do top stuff. It's because of the Bowman on the back licensing. But on the rest of them, when you didn't have the Bowman, when the Bowman not on the back, they're fine. As you can see, same exact card. Jeff Bridges, Richard Attenborough, Val Kilmer, Daniel Day-Lewis, Anthony Hopkins, Michael Stipe, and Peter Dinklage. So all those go through, and you can use Game of Thrones or stuff like that. You can use, just can't go tops, baseball type stuff on the back. But I mean, if the back was different, I think they would fly through no problem. I mean, as long as they're good. Steve Sloan, and I did call about him. We got a Shaq. We got a couple, but the good stuff. Warren Moon, Jerry West, Phil Knight, Damian Lillard, Bob Cousy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jerry Rice. I don't know if Amon-Ra is through the mail, but I heard he does do some of that through the mail. All right, Joe Remington, Hank Aaron, John Irwin, Sean Astin, Sean, Jeff Goldblum, Alice Cooper, Joe Biden, Mark McGuire, Ricky and Tim Raines, that's a nice one. Gibson, Jenkins, Gibson, Singer. Mike Schmidt with Perez. Mark Hamill. Ariana Richards. I think there was 3 of those. Yep. Sandy Koufax. Some nice Sandy Koufaxes. And Willie Mays. So, Joe, you did well. Bill Shield, we got one that didn't go through. All the rest did. Bob Gibson, Steve Carlton, Richie Ashburn, Steve Carlton, Jack Nicklaus, Steve Carlton, Mark McGuire, Big Mac, Wade Boggs. And that's a 1981 TCMA Wade Boggs, too, by the way. That's an old one for Boggs. Sterling Sharp, Fran Tarkington, Pete Rose, Vladdy and Andrew Jones, Ryan Sandberg, Steve Garvey, That is Jim Palmer with Tommy John. Carlton and Morris. Carlton and Fisk. Carlton, Fisk, and Gary Carter. David Robinson. I had some of those not pass, so that's nice to see if David go through. Mutombo, John Elway, Randy Johnson, same thing. Willie Stargell. Had some of those not go through. Ha! Is Casey O'Brien's stuff over there still?
It's on the floor.
Yeah, it's on the floor, Casey. It's coming at some point. Rick Seabrands. So no, stick around if you want to watch. It'll be a little while. Kellen Winslow. Mike Musina. Wade Boggs. Jim Palmer. Now most of these are Tiffany's too, by the way. Raleigh Fingers. Andre Dawson. Goose Gossage. Mickey Mantle. I think that's not auto, but just a CGC. Joey Logano. Mark McGuire. Peyton Manning. Nikki Hayden. Yogi Berra. 10-10 on a Yogi Berra card. I know it's a 2010 card, but man, a 10-10. And Clayton Kershaw. Thomas Smith. We got the Ethan didn't get done, unfortunately, but you got Yamamoto, a 10-10. Connor G, 8-5. And Paul Skeens with a 10 on the card. So, those did real well. Bobby Thompson. There was part of 5. Sum of 5. All 4, sum of 5. That's why it took me forever to get through this stuff. There was more than there were 780 just in sub 4, much less the CGC in sub 5. So it's over 1,000 cards easy. Craig, Warren Moon, Robert Parrish. I've got that rookie. Floyd and Fingers twice. Roger Craig. Eric Dickerson. Ed Too Tall Jones. Dave Robinson, Dave Wilcox, Dan Fouts, Steve Largent, Tony Dorsett, James Lofton, Eric Dickerson, Roger Craig. So the ones that came back from number 5 are technically came back at about the 7-week period. So they said they are trying to catch up. Jim Palmer, Roberto Clemente, Roberto's, O.J. Simpsons, Sonny Jurgensen, and Dick LeBeau. All right, so that's Bobby Thompson. Andrew Thurlow. We got one Tim Tebow didn't go through. Everything else did. Herb Street. I know you're looking for 10s. Herb Street. Tovar. Sanders. Wilkinson. Fickle. Stringer. Joey Galloway. 10. So you did get a 10 there on a Joey. You got 2 10s on a Joey. Joey. Pat Tillman. Tim Tebow. Continuing with the Tebows. 9-5 on the green. This got authenticated for the Tebow, so that was cool. And then schedules. Eddie George. Archie Griffin. Tim Tebow authenticated. And Hopalong Cassidy. Zach Strawinski. Unfortunately, a lot of this didn't go through. A lot of the wrestling, I think it was, and stuff came back with just questionable authenticity on them, unfortunately. I don't know where they all came from, obviously. But we do our best. We did get some through, though. Kobe Beware. Jimmy Snuka. Bob Barker. Betty White. Ed McMahon. Joan Rivers. Vince Neil. John McEnroe. Lash Legend. And just a reminder, if you are watching, just because they don't go through doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. It just means JSA wouldn't put their stamp on it. Tony D'Angelo. Randy Orton. Bill Langston. Natalia. Nikita Lyons. Alicia Fox. And Johnny B. Bad. So keep that in mind. Doesn't necessarily mean stuff's bad. Just means doesn't look right to them. So they're not putting their name on it, kind of deal. Barry Upman. Barry's still out there. I think you're out there earlier. Beck and White. Cecil. Ron Guidry. Bobby Richardson. Mike Musina. Steve Sachs with the Desert Shields. Like I said, that shield doesn't always get through. Bobby Richardson, Mike McCormick, Mike Musina, Bobby Richardson, and Joe Page. All right, Nick Webb. We do have some that didn't go through. Baywatch, I don't know what helps and what doesn't, but so Nick Webb. Right, we got CJ Stroud, Orange Die Cut, Xavier Worthy, Uptown, Vince Papa, Lance Armstrong, Palmero and Juan Gonzalez, Rafi on a mini, Rafi, Cole Hamels, Dan Fouts, and Isaac Bruce. Road Dogg, George Kittle, LeBron James, Willie Mays, Ken Shamrock, Frank Gore, Montana and Rice. We got schedules. More pocket schedules. Giants. So all those went through. For Nick. Daniel White. Oh, you had a stack in the other one. LT didn't go, unfortunately. That says secretarial, by the way. Jerry Rice, Jim McMahon, Dexter Manley, Marcus Allen, Ron Hall, Lomax Green, Duper and Clayton. I like that one. McMichael, Hilliard, Quick, Eric Thomas. Mark Price, Grossman, Tony, Zimmerman, Stradford, Arnold, Chadwick, Everson Walls, Ross, and Page. Joe Wester. Angel Martinez went in 10-10. 10-10 on Angel Martinez. All right, Chris Wilk. I think we're almost to the boxes. Tyrell Hatton, 10-10. That's nice. If you're into golfer. Bruce Koepka, 9-10. Pedro. George Gervin, Ozzie Smith, Arnold Palmer, Kirby Puckett, and Kirby Puckett. All right, Casey. Do all these people just have one box, or is there some with multiple boxes?
Just the one guy has that little extra one on top.
Okay. All right, Casey. You got a box here, so here we go. I don't think everything's graded. So 8 on Gonzalez. Pete Rose, 8.5. Wade Boggs. Andre Dawson. John Lester. Carl Yastrzemski. Bobby Richardson. Short factory cut on the front. Jim Cott. But they did slab it. AU. Robin Roberts. Ruben Sierra. Matt Williams. Nomar. Wingman Wade Boggs. Tim Wakefield. Wade Boggs. Warren Spahn. Carl Yastrzemski. Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron. And Orlando Cepeda. Brooks Robinson. Bobby Shantz and Bobby Shantz. Juan Marichal. Juan and Dwight Gooden. Now, do you send these out through the mail, Casey? Or did you get a lot of these done? Because, like I said, yours came back good. Gonzalez, Pesky, and Tom Gordon. Ricketts, Piniella, and Wade Boggs. Hanley Ramirez, Billy Ripken, and Andy Etchebarren. I never even heard of that guy, and there were 2 of them in this sub. Juan Gonzalez, Metal Universe. I like that card. That's a nice one. I'm a Gonzalez guy. John Valentin and Lou Piniella. Mazeroski, Nomar, and Sievers. Well, you kept it the same. Nomar and John Valentin. Joe Carter and Jerry Remy. All right, that's the end of Casey's. You got him through, Casey. That's just hard. That guys do through the mail and buy collections, and they all come out good. You know what I mean? That's just hard knowing, in my opinion. All right, Ryan. I think you're out there somewhere or another. We're getting to the bigger collections. Eric Dickerson. Phil Jackson. Keith Hernandez. Eckersley, and Jose Canseco, Eric Plunk. Absolutely. Plunk, Canseco, and Cecil with the chicken. That is a popular card to get done. Brock, Nolan Ryan. That's a nice one. And Nolan Ryan, reprint. Tom Seaver, Danny Frisella, and Jim Gentile. Just amazes me that they're that good at it. Harmon Killebrew, Bob Greasy, Larry Little, Dan Fouts, Joe Morgan, and Burt Blyleven. Nolan Ryan, a slider of Garmin, Cooper, and Fisk, and Billy Cal and Cal, the Ripkins. Mark McGuire, Steve McNair, Pete Rose, and Nolan Ryan. That's a clean looking Nolan right there. If anybody wants to get a card done, man, that one pops. Find a nice 79 tops to send in. My goodness. Tom Seaver, Art Shell, Herb Adderley. Okay, so those of you that are still here, I am out of town tomorrow, so if I can get out shipping today, I will. If not, it'll be on Tuesday, and then we'll start shipping it. Fergie Jenkins, Floyd Bouchard and Fingers, and Steve Garvey. Understand, this is a ton of stuff. It is going to take me a little bit of time to get them back out. So, I guarantee you by midweek they should all be gone. At the latest, maybe Thursday, but that is the plan to get them all out, hopefully by Wednesday. Augustin, well, that's a full. Rice Scott, another quad with Andre Dawson, Nolan Ryan on a mosaic. Steve Largent, Norm Cash, Rusty Staub. Elston Howard, Carl Yastrzemski, and Al Kaline. One last, Willie McCovey, 75. All right, we're going on a full hour here almost. I don't know how much more we got. We got a little bit here. This line up first. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, Marcus Hayes. We've got Palmer, Fingers, Guidry twice. Sandberg. Yogi. Chipper Jones and Fergie Jenkins. Don Mattingly, Rafi Palmero. Rafa Palmero, Warren Moon. Ryan Sandberg and Ryan Sandberg. I like the OPG. That was a good choice, in my opinion. We did have a couple that didn't get done. Just a heads up. That does happen, seems like. Wade Boggs, another OPG. Wade Boggs and Archie Manning. That's a Tiffany, by the way. So nice choices on cards, in my opinion. Sandberg. Steve Carlton. Steve Carlton. Vern Law. Juan Marichal. Kiefer and Turtle. Ozzie Smith, Fergie Jenkins, and Fergie Jenkins. Fergie and Marichal, Mark Grace. Palmer, Fingers, Guidry. If you notice, there's a bunch. We've had, what, 5 or 6 of these? So obviously those guys were good at getting them done for everybody. Pudge, Carlton Fisk, Harmon Killebrew, Wade Boggs. Mario Andretti. Richard Petty. Richard Petty. Billy Wagner. Daryl Kyle. Bagwell and Biggio. All right, that's the end of Marcus. Matt Spurgeon. Have a few that didn't go through. But everything else is good. Perry, Parker, Jack Morris. Burt Blyleven, Lou Whitaker, Brett Saberhagen, David Cohn, Dan Quisenberry, Juan Gonzalez. We got the reverse negative and the regular. I've actually got both of those done myself and authenticated. Molitor, Larry Walker, and Akeem Olajuwon. Joe Torre, James Worthy, and Bartolo Colon. CC Sabathia, Trevor Hoffman, and Jordy Nelson. Matt Olson, Ryan O'Hearn, Tom Watson. Got that golfer card thrown in there. Lorenzo Kane, and Al Kaline. All right, Corbin Burns, Chris Bubbick, Andre Dawson, Jim Rice, Will Clark, Frank Thomas, Salvador Perez, Joe Morgan, Brooks Robinson, Dennis Eckersley, Jim Rice, and Wade Boggs. Keith Hernandez, Bordy Dempsey and Weaver, and Jim Rice. John Henry Johnson, Mike Brown, Twins leaders with Laudner and Viola. Dwight Evans, Adrian Beltre, and Dale Murphy. Palmer and Charlie Huff. All right, guys, we're getting closer. We got 3 boxes left. You haven't heard your name yet, you're one of the last 3. James Garman is up next. We've got a few that didn't pass. All right. We've got Carnell Lake, Phil Gardner, Grant Jackson, Art Shell, and Paul Warfield. Ken Stabler, Joe Theismann, and Herschel Walker. Jim Harbaugh, Mike Singletary, Bernie Kosar. Jim McMahon, Vinny Testaverde, Steve Largent, Jake Plummer, and Enos Slaughter. Don Baylor, Dusty Baker, and Steve Garvey. Bobby Bonilla, Dennis Eckersley, Hoffman, Tom Glavine, Sean Dunston, Pat LaFontaine, Billy Buckner, and Phil Negro. Fergie, Vada Pinson, and Mean Joe Green. Bill Madlock, Bill Madlock, Bill Madlock. Brian Harper, Kent Tekulve, and Dave Parker with a Desert Shield. That's a nice one. You can get it to go through. And Ryan Sandberg. That is just CGC Desert Shield. Nice card. Too bad that couldn't have gotten there in time. Patrick Deloche. You got 2 boxes worth kind of thing here. Mickey Mantle, 5/5. Just a CGC. Bill Sami. Bill Brunton. Did get stuff on the back on some of these. There we go. Delsing. Renna. Stone. Rapolsky. Hemus. Scheib. And McMillan. But now for the big box. You did get more of these than normal, than you had been the last time, but it's not like all of them. So, Glenn, Westrom, Roach, Harmon, Bailey, and Stobbs. Olson, Ross, and Herbert. And these are all 54s, guys. I mean, this is pretty impressive. Schofield, Deal, Johnny Hop. In my opinion, it's impressive. Consola, Nelson, Larry Jansen. Trying to put together a 54 auto set. Hogue, Leja, and Bilko. Coleman, Cavaretta, and Del Baker. Wally Moon, Jim Pendleton, and Duke Snyder. We've got Logan, Adams, just giving myself a little room here. Jacobs, Presco, Connie Ryan. Burkowski, Jay, and Whirl. Valo, Johnson, and Robertson. Krahowski, Ramos, and Bliska. Fernellis, Lanhart, and Peanuts Lowry, which does have a sticker on the back. Philly, Hetke, and Miller. Lund, Martin, and Hughes. Rhodes and Brown. Now I'm telling you, Patrick, if you get a full set CGC of 54 tops, I'm going to need a picture. Qualters and Keeley. All right, that is it on that. All right, Tom, Brandy. We got some thicker cards. They were supposed to be AU'd, but they didn't happen that way. So we've got some nice ones in it. Mike Schmidt with a 10-10. This is all CGC stuff. Mark Big Mac with an 8. Reese Hoskins with a 9. Kyle Schwarber with a 9. Kyle Schwarber, 8-5. Jimmy Rollins, a 9. Real Muto with a 9. Cliff Lee, 8-5. John Kruk with a 9. Bryson Stott, a 10-10. A Ryan Howard, 10-10. 7 on Chase Utley. 9 on Steve Carlton. 8 on Reese Hoskins. 9 with a 10 on Reese Hoskins. 9 on Devontae Smith. Brian Dawkins with a 9. 8-5. 7. 8-5. 8 on Cade Cunningham. Brandon Graham. 9 on Schmidt. 10 on Bryce Harper. 9-5 on Ricky. And Freddie Freeman, 8-5 with a 10. All right, guys, believe it or not, that's it. It's only been an hour and 15 minutes. We got through them. All right, so like I said, I am gone tomorrow. If I can get out invoices, I will. If not, they'll go out on Tuesday. And then hopefully I'll get everything out by Wednesday. That is the plan. If you have any questions, concerns, just send me a message. Next date is the 29th. So just need anything coming in, I need it by the 29th. Obviously CGC, JSA, all the above. We are looking for more pre-screen as well. So if you have anything you'd like to pre-screen, it's $3 a card. And if it gets a 9, 5, or 10, it's another 12 to grade it. But if you've got a bunch of stuff you're not sure, but you just want 9, 5s, and 10s out of it, you can pay CGC to take a look at them for $3 a card. And if they slab them, they'll slab them for 12 more. So it's a great deal if you're looking for high-end cards and not wanting to pay a full price and end up with an 8.